If you've watched any online content in the last couple of years, you've probably seen one of these mics or one of the DJI ones, and today I wanted to talk about it. For those who are just looking for the simple reason, it's because they're really, really convenient and really, really easy to hook on to your talent through the clip on the back and then get clean, usable audio. I can't personally speak about the DJI ones, but I imagine they're going to be very, very similar as they've had a lot of people using them. I personally used the Rode Wireless Go systems for the last 2 years. Today, I wanted to share some of the reasonings why I think you should consider a Rode Wireless Go system in 2025. As a professional, full-time videographer for the last 3 years, one of the biggest challenges or bottlenecks when it comes to creating video content for clients and myself is time. So I wanted to personally, and this is something I think about when I'm personally choosing what gear I'm going to use and buy, how much time is it going to save me or use, and how much time does it take me to actually use itself. There's two kinds of content where the Rode Wireless Go system comes into its own in my view. The first of which I had a couple of days ago, where I was creating a set of run and gun interviews for a client. This could be, for example, some social proof content at an event, one that I did last year, for example. But also, and this could be the case where you're moving from location to location to location, so your setup time is potentially going to eat in to your actual interview time or make the day as less efficient as you would maybe like it to be. And I've found personally having a wired mic or other microphone options doesn't give you as much versatility in regards to speed and getting clean audio as well. Having the ability to have a quote hook on mic on someone without having to hide a cable and being able to then find somewhere on the person to hide the pack as well can be a pain and take up a lot of time that you could otherwise spend talking to them. And for example, my older microphones, which were the Rode Link set, for those who are interested. Also, this was sometimes not possible. So, for example, I remember a couple of years ago we were having we were doing some talking heads, a tour of a house, and the lady in question was wearing a summer's dress that obviously doesn't have pockets or anywhere to easily clip the pack. So it was interesting on how we ended up having to mic her up in that respect as well. Of course, some of the time you'll be setting up a more hot chair style interview, and this is when you're more likely to use a boom pole or a tie mic because they are perceived to look cleaner, but also you're granted the opportunity to be able to be given more time. So something to consider if you are using the version 2s like I am here is that there isn't a locking pin for the lapel or tie mic or whatever you're running into it. This was only something which you can get if you're using the Gen 3s, and I'll be talking about some of the pros and cons of that a little bit later on in the video, but it's something to consider because the mic can slightly pull out, which means you will not get any of that audio. But if you're live monitoring on a set like that, which you should be, then you'll be able to catch it early enough in that perspective. Something that many people don't think about necessarily is what if something goes wrong, right? With either the preamp on your camera or your recorder or the second camera you're using or things like that. Wherever the audio source is going into, there could be an issue or concern there. And something which the Rode Wireless Go systems actually allow you to do is have a backup redundancy recording, and this for me is a game changer. Even if all it does is gives me a peace of mind on set, so that I can not have to worry necessarily about, what if we lose or, if something goes wrong. Maybe I have a lost connection from, say, the wireless transceiver that's on top of the camera and the mic itself. If it cuts out for a second, if you're in a conference hall, which is very common because of a lot of all the wireless traffic that's going on, other wireless mics, etc. In that respect, it's something which you can just think about and just say, okay, no, we're good because we've got the internal recording. It also, of course, gives you the option through the Rode Link software to be able to output 32-bit float on the Series 2 version, on the Series 3, you are able, or the Gen 3, you're able to internally record 32-bit float. And for those who don't know, it's like having a raw video file as 32-bit float. So it gives you a lot more latitude when it comes to the post-production work to allow you to save maybe clipped or too quiet, or pull those audio up maybe when it's too quiet as well. But it obviously will not remedy or mean that you can get sloppy when it comes to your levels, and you should be testing those levels and keeping monitor on those levels when you're on set. But the Gen 3 also does claim in its sales material that it will auto adjust that level as it goes on. As far as I know, on the version 2s, you have to set them to a certain level. So I set mine to a negative 12 dB when it's attached to my chest area, or the mic that's attached to it is attached to my chest area, and then I can go from there and then obviously balance it in post where I need to. But mostly what you want to gain and what you want to make sure is that you're not clipping your audio whenever you're recording it on set. They also do have up to 7 hours built-in battery life, along with 7 hours built-in recording that I discussed earlier. If you do need longer, you can of course record on the Gen, you can plug in via USB-C. However, on the Gen 2s, be very careful when doing this, because you will record over the first section. So it basically infinitely records in that 7-hour window. So for as long as it's on and that setting is turned on the mic pack itself, it will always be recording, which personally I would always turn on. You have to go into the settings when you first go through the software, when you first get the mic packs specifically. Something which the Gen 3 has when doing research for this video is you have up to 40 hours worth of recording time, which will allow you to basically infinitely record it up to that 40-hour limit, when then it will of course then retract back to the beginning, where it will then record over the first minutes to then hours, of course, in that respect. Rode also does sell a handheld adapter for the Rode Wireless Go systems. This would be a way of getting some more value out of your microphone itself when it comes to creating content that is presenter-led in a louder environment, such as a business conference. If you'd like to see some more examples of this, I'll be personally using it to cover this year's photography and video show next weekend at the time of writing. So there will be content coming specifically on that as well. There's also 3 kinds of Gen 2 wireless Go's, and then also one pack that I could find that is Gen 3. So on the Gen 2s, you've got the standalone, just the microphones themselves that internally record like this. You've then also got a pack with one of those plus a in-camera transceiver that will transceive what that one is reproducing wirelessly, and then you have another one that has 2 of these microphones. I personally own one standalone microphone on its own that I mostly use for blogging and vlogging and keeping my audio clean, and also allowing me to have backup audio in the event where I do something on my phone, or do something on, say, a GoPro, for example. And then I've got one that links to obviously something I can put into camera. Something I may do in the near future is buy the Series 3s, and let me know in the comment section down below if you'd like a more in-depth review on Gen 3, and I'll obviously purchase a pack, show that unboxing experience, and show the differences. There is a couple, as I said, one of which being the transition length in regards to how far away it can transmit. So the Gen 2s is 200 meters from what is tested and what Rode claims, with the Gen 3 claiming to be 260 meters in that respect as well. But also you've then got, as I said, that extra 40 hours of recording time, a little bit longer in regards to battery life, and then also some of the other features like there is a single cable that you can get to plug in all the 2 microphones and the transponder that goes on top of the camera as well on the Gen 3, and you also have a couple of different cables as well, because there has been a increase in people creating content on their phone. So Rode wanted to create I think for a long time they had a separate mic system, which seemed counterintuitive to the Rode Go system, and they were trying to basically sell to the separate markets. And nowadays I think what they're doing, because they're seeing a lot of journalists and news providers using their smartphones just to create on or in reporting kind of talks and stuff like that, so they want to upgrade that audio to maybe go into the handheld system, or maybe for them to wear. So they have created that adaptation into being able to their microphones, or the professional grade microphones, to go into Android phones, but also of course Lightning, but also USB-C now with your iPhones as well. The Gen 3 also does have a built-in headphone jack. I think this is just done for, in some ways I would say, ease of use, because if you are monitoring on, say, a phone, you can monitor the audio coming into the camera. I believe it's mostly for mobile phone creators, because of course most digital cameras will have a monitoring or a headphone output, but you might prefer to listen to what the microphone is outputting directly, so you don't have that preamp in the way in regards to your camera's preamp as well. So then I guess the question does come is, what should you buy? The slightly cheaper Gen 2s, or the more expensive Gen 3s, right, which I'll go over quickly. For a standalone microphone, you're looking at £110 at the time of writing, with then the single mic pack for Gen 2, so one of these, and then the bit that goes on camera, or the receiver that goes on camera, at £200. And then also with the two microphones on the Gen 2 is £290. The Gen 3 pack, just on its own without a charging case, is going to be £277, and the then with the charging case is going to be £293. So I think for me personally, I think those who are happy with their Gen 2s, like I am for example, I don't necessarily see it as a necessary investment unless you have a specific need for that number of microphones. So if you're doing a lot of multiple camera, you don't want to have 3 to 4 members of talent constantly having mics recording on them all the time. If you're finding yourself doing a lot of that, then it might be worth you picking up a set of Gen 3s to then go with your Gen 2s, to then allow them basically to have standalone recorders, and you sync it up later. That is an idea. It might be worth that for you. Personally, for me, I rarely get asked to do 2-person interviews, never mind 3 or 4. So it's absolutely fine for me just to have one pack specifically. And if we are going to do multiple people, we'll interview them separately. Because personally, I really find it irritating when TV will interview 2 people sat next to each other, because the other person doesn't really have anything else to do, right? So they just sort of go, and they just feel slightly odd and slightly awkward, and it sort of takes away from the interview in that respect. But if you are purchasing microphones as a whole, I would recommend buying the Gen 3s rather than the Gen 2s. But is it worth the upgrade? Personally, for me, it hasn't been over the last couple of years. That might change in the next couple of years, and then I would of course jump to the Gen 3s. But at this moment in time, it isn't. And I can work around some of the cruxes, you could say, and I don't actually have that long infinite recording days where I'm going to be around that 7-hour window, so it doesn't really worry me too much. But as I said, if you are monitoring audio, which you should be, then you can get around the fact there's no locking pin on the mics themselves. But just to reiterate, as I said, if you are going to be buying these brand new and you don't have any lapel mics at all, then my recommendation would be, of course, to spend a little bit extra money and get the Gen 3s. So that is my thoughts and this micro review on the Rode Wireless Go system, and what you should potentially use it, and how you essentially use it to increase the likelihood, increase the audio that you can provide for your clients, but also of course your own content as well. So thank you ever so much for coming back and joining me. I'll be producing some more content very, very soon, talking about investing, talking about how you can get more out of your videography business or marketing business, how you can use social media to continue to grow your business, and what's new in social media as well. We've got a new this week in social media, and then of course that coverage that I alluded to earlier at the photo and video show coming at the weekend as well. So thank you ever so much for joining me, and I'll see you very, very soon. If you're new to the channel, why not subscribe, and I'd love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. Take care. Peace.